Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the explosive science, the massive hype, and the absolute regulatory whiplash surrounding therapeutic peptides. Specifically, we're looking at the ultimate 2026 biohacker's dilemma, the regenerative promise of BPC-157, the metabolic overhaul of Retatrutide, and here's the really fascinating part, whether or not you can actually stack these compounds. We're going to get into the mechanisms, the timing, and exactly what researchers say you need to watch out for. So, let's kick things off with the sheer, unadulterated online hype surrounding BPC-157. If you follow the underground worlds of biohacking or pro sports, you know this compound is constantly whispered about as the ultimate healer. I mean, just look at the stories floating around out there. They sound literally like something straight out of a comic book. We're talking near superhuman levels of healing from severe tissue damage that would normally take a person months, if not longer, to recover from. But, when we actually peel back all that internet folklore, there is a staggering divide between those miraculous expectations and the published clinical reality. With all the global hype, you'd probably expect hundreds of robust human trials, right? Well, the reality is starkly different. As of 2026, there are only 3 small published human studies. It's a massive, undeniable gap between laboratory promise and human proof. All right, so here's our game plan for today. 1. The Wolverine peptide hype. 2. The human evidence gap. 3. The angiogenesis paradox. 4. The 2026 FDA reclassification. 5. Retatrutide and metabolic peptides. And finally, 6. Navigating the peptide frontier. Okay, part 1. The Wolverine peptide hype. From stomach acid to super healer. What's truly fascinating right off the bat is what BPC actually stands for. It's short for Body Protection Compound. It is a 15-amino acid synthetic fragment that was originally discovered, of all places, in human stomach acid. Think about that for a second. It's kind of incredible that a peptide designed by nature to survive the incredibly harsh, corrosive environment of our own gastric juices could theoretically be the key to systemic healing across the entire body. And when researchers initially applied this compound in animal models, the results were just mind-blowing. We are talking about severed Achilles tendons healing significantly faster, torn quad muscles mending right back together, accelerated bone repair, and even profound nerve and ligament recovery. In the lab, BPC-157 basically acts like a 4-star general, rapidly mobilizing the body's repair crews and commanding them exactly where to go. Which brings us to part 2, the human evidence gap. Lab rats versus the real world. When you lay out the data across the board, the contrast is pretty wild. BPC-157 is actually the most studied of these healing peptides, and yet it still utterly lacks the randomized controlled trials needed to definitively prove it works safely in humans. Like I mentioned, we basically have 3 pilot studies with roughly 30 total subjects. We lack crucial pharmacokinetic data. That means we don't even fully understand how the human body processes the stuff once it's in our system. To put this into an even sharper perspective, I want you to focus on this number, 35. In a massive 2024 systematic review that looked at all BPC-157 research specifically for muscle and bone injuries, 35 out of the 36 relevant studies were conducted on animals. That left exactly 1 tiny retrospective study on humans. So yeah, that is the rather fragile scientific backbone currently supporting a multi-million-dollar gray market. Let's move into part 3, the angiogenesis paradox, the double-edged sword. So let's define exactly how this works. Angiogenesis is simply the physiological process where new blood vessels form from pre-existing ones. When you tear a ligament or a tendon, areas of the body that notoriously lack good blood flow, BPC-157 heals those injuries so efficiently precisely because it forcefully triggers this angiogenesis. It's essentially building brand new supply lines to deliver oxygen and repair cells right to the site of the damage. But here is the high-stakes paradox. What if the ultimate healer also feeds tumors? The exact same blood vessel building mechanism that repairs a torn rotator cuff is theoretically the identical pathway a tiny undiscovered tumor could hijack to grow and spread. Tumors need their own blood supply to survive, right? So without long-term human safety trials, we simply do not know for sure if BPC-157 acts purely as a firefighter or if it might accidentally act as a fire starter. On to part 4, the 2026 FDA reclassification, regulatory whiplash. Tracing the legal timeline reveals a crazy story of regulatory whiplash. In 2023, the FDA issued a strict Category 2 ban on peptides like BPC-157 because of safety and impurity concerns. Naturally, this pushed users straight into a dangerous, unregulated gray market. But then, in April 2026, the FDA completely reversed course. They moved 14 peptides back to Category 1, which restored legal access through compounding pharmacies, leading right up to some absolutely crucial advisory committee meetings in July. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is understanding the precise definition of Category 1. It means you can gain legal access through a licensed compounding pharmacy, provided you have a doctor's prescription. However, it does not mean FDA drug approval. These remain completely unapproved, off-label therapeutics. You're getting pharmaceutical-grade purity for sure, but that vital long-term clinical data? Still missing. Part 5. Retatrutide and metabolic peptides, the next frontier. Now we're shifting gears, because Retatrutide fundamentally evolves the science of weight loss. While you might know previous blockbuster medications as single GLP-1 agonists, Retatrutide is an investigational triple agonist. It simultaneously activates 3 distinct hormone receptors: GIP, GLP-1, and glucagon. This triple-threat approach completely overhauls the body's metabolism, your energy expenditure, and appetite signaling, all at the exact same time. And the results of this triple-action mechanism are absolutely staggering. In its first successful Phase 3 trial, Retatrutide delivered a jaw-dropping average weight loss of 71.2 pounds. But it goes beyond just massive fat loss. The clinical trial also showed substantial relief from osteoarthritis pain. And that's likely due to a combination of taking all that mechanical weight off the joints, coupled with some profound systemic anti-inflammatory effects. Finally, Part 6, Navigating the Peptide Frontier, Safety and Sourcing. With healing peptides regaining legal status and metabolic peptides completely rewriting the rules of weight loss, a brand new frontier has emerged, and it's all about stacking. A lot of you want to know, can I combine BPC-157 with GLP-1 agonists like Retatrutide? Well, here is a researcher's guide to what the science actually says. Mechanistically, massive weight loss from a GLP-1 agonist often leads to severe muscle wasting. So researchers are exploring stocking them with BPC-157 to theoretically protect that lean tissue, heal the offloaded joints, and upregulate growth hormone receptors all at once. But timing is a huge factor here. Metabolic agonists are typically dosed weekly, whereas short half-life healers like BPC-157 require daily, targeted administration. And what to watch for? Well, stacking absolutely amplifies your variables. Researchers have to closely monitor overlapping side effects. We're talking significant gastrointestinal distress and totally unpredictable fluctuations in blood glucose levels when you combine these heavy hitters. So if you are going to explore this space, whether for one isolated peptide or attempting a complex regenerative stack, these 3 steps are totally mandatory safeguards. Number 1. Find a prescribing, board-certified physician who actually understands peptide pharmacokinetics. 2. Get comprehensive baseline and follow-up blood work so you can track your metabolic and inflammatory markers. And 3. Source only from a licensed 503A compounding pharmacy. That is the only way to avoid the contaminated, potentially dangerous research chemicals floating around on the internet. Which leaves us with this final thought. Is this 2026 peptide landscape a revolutionary leap forward in human medicine, finally giving us the tools to overhaul our metabolism and heal like Wolverine? Or, without those long-term human trials, is it just a dangerous game of bio-roulette? Until the science fully catches up to the hype, that is the ultimate question you've got to answer for yourself before stepping into the peptide frontier. Thanks for tuning in.